Andrew's in Acton. Do you think Boris Johnson stands a chance at an election pre-Brexit, Andrew? Evening to you.
Good evening. I do not think so, no. I think all the polling shows that the majority of people in this country now oppose Brexit.
Sorry?
I think the polling shows clearly that a majority of people in this country now oppose Brexit.
It depends on what poll you take.
Totally true, but I mean, I'm looking at the YouGov poll of polls, which covers a whole series of polls. And if you look at that, there's been a clear lead in those polls for the proposition that people think that it was the wrong thing to do to vote to leave in 2016.
Right. Well, let's, for argument's sake, say that that's right. What do you want to do next?
Well,
I don't believe you, by the way, or those polls, but anyway.
Well, okay. Well, so what do you believe if you're not going to believe those polls?
Well, polls have notoriously been wrong relatively recently. The only poll that matters was the decision on June the 23rd, 2016. That was the one that we were told was a once-in-a-lifetime decision, and I'm afraid, and you don't like it, and many people don't, the Leave side won. We've got to get past that.
Actually, I don't think that's correct, that's the poll that matters. I think the poll that matters is the next general election. And, okay, you can say you don't believe those polls, but on the other hand, I would say to you, are you really going to ignore them? And pose you this question. Given that polling evidence, can you be sure that a majority of the people of this country do now wish to leave?
Well, the only way you can be sure is to have a second referendum.
Oh, good answer.
Yeah.
Absolutely, good answer. And don't you think it would be a good idea to be sure if this is what the people want?
No.
Before you do it?
No.
You don't think it's a good idea to know whether that's what the people want?
No, I don't, because once they vote one way, who's to say that the people who don't like the outcome will say, well, let's have another one?
Well, look...
Why does the second one matter more, count more than the first?
Because the second one will be 2019, and the first one was 2016.
That's just the passage of time.
Very true. And which matters more, what people think now or what people thought 3 years ago?
Well, those people who voted in 2016 would say the precisely same thing.
Not those who may have changed their minds. Not those who maybe didn't get a vote 3 years ago.
But again, that is being upset at hours rolling on and days moving on, isn't it? I mean, the idea that because people didn't get a vote when they were 16 in 2016, that they should have one now before Brexit has happened in order to stop it is the worst possible argument for a second referendum, in my view.
Well, no, Tom. I think what matters actually is what people want now.
But people in 2016, then, at the moment at which they voted, so now for them, wanted to leave.
Yes, but
I don't know why. Okay, so what happens then when the second referendum happens? It's a vote to remain. We have these negotiations with the EU about how we're going to get ourselves back into the position of remaining in a decent way, and people say
we don't have to do that. No, we don't.
I think the EU might stipulate different terms.
No, incorrect, Tom. Please do your research. The European Court has decided that if we revoke Article 50, we can and we remain members on exactly the same terms as we currently are.
And you don't think the European Union might insist that we join whatever plans they have for European defence cooperation?
No, Tom.
No?
Really, this is basic stuff. There's been a European court case about this. It's been decided that a country can revoke Article 50, and if it revokes...
No, I understand that. I understand that a country can revoke Article 50. I'm talking about when we have to sign up to a European Defence Fund, or when we have to pay more into the budget, when we have to pay more into the budget, or when we have to accept changes to legislation, changes to laws that affect people in this country, having just had a referendum in which the majority voted to leave to see it overturned. And if, as the leader of the Liberal Democrats has said, if there is another referendum and there is another vote to leave, she wouldn't vote for any of the legislation in order to make that happen. I think that's disgraceful.
You're wandering off the topic, because you put to me that if we decided to stay, the European Union might change the terms of our membership, and that's incorrect. It cannot. If we decide to stay, we decide to stay on our existing terms. We're not members of the euro. We have our existing rebate.
And what do you say to the people? What do you say to the people who voted to leave the first time around? I don't understand why, just because you haven't got what you wanted, and by the way, Andrew, I didn't get what I wanted. I voted Remain as well.
So did I. No, I voted to leave, actually.
But you've changed your mind.
I have. I have. And I'll tell you why I've changed my mind. Because what we were told when we voted to leave was that it would be the easiest thing in the world to get a deal which gave us exactly the same benefits as we have by being members of the European Union. And it turns out that's a load of hooey. And now, more or less everybody accepts we're going to be worse off. It's going to be bloody difficult to get a deal. That is not what I voted for. But actually, it's not really what you personally voted for, or I personally voted for. It's what a majority of the people now want.
I think, Andrew, that I think that you would wipe out quite quickly a key pillar of democracy in this country, which is that your vote has an effect. And if the effect of your
our
vote...
vote has had an effect. Tom, our vote had an effect. What have we been doing for the last 3 years? We've triggered Article 50.
It hasn't happened yet. I know, but that hasn't come to a conclusion, has it?
No, the reason it hasn't come to a conclusion is it's proved a great deal more difficult than anybody
expected. It certainly has. It certainly has.
Yes, exactly. And therefore, I say to you, as it's proved more difficult than people expected, why not give people a chance to say, oh, now I see the reality. Is this what I really want?
Okay. Well, Andrew, again, I don't think that would be the right way forward. I genuinely think that would be tearing away at one of the key pillars of democracy in this country, particularly if there's a Remain vote, because then who decides what happens? I understand that it has got more difficult than people thought, that it is very contentious and that the effects of it aren't knowable yet, so it makes it quite up in the air about what it's going to be like. But we've got to get this done. We've got to get this done. I appreciate your call. Thank you.